All right, so you're looking into NuScale Power.
Uh-huh.
Those small modular reactor folks.
Yeah.
They're like the hot new thing in nuclear energy.
Right.
But the question on everyone's mind is, are they worth the investment?
Yeah.
We're going to tackle that question head on today.
Okay.
Think of this as your one-stop shop
Yeah.
to understanding NuScale's business,
Uh-huh.
their management,
Okay.
the financials, and even how the market feels about them. By the end, you'll have a solid grasp on whether this stock fits your investment style.
For sure.
Exactly. And we're going to lay it all out for you,
Okay.
pulling insights from in-depth investment analysis,
Okay.
news releases, and even some wisdom from Warren Buffett himself.
Oh, wow.
All the sources, by the way, are linked in the description below.
Perfect.
Now let's get down to business. Literally,
Right.
what is NuScale all about?
NuScale specializes in what are called small modular reactors,
Okay.
or SMRs.
SMRs.
Think of them as a more compact, flexible alternative
Okay.
to those giant traditional nuclear power plants.
Right, right.
Their flagship product is the NuScale Power Module,
Okay.
or NPM. Each NPM is a 77-megawatt reactor.
Wow.
And the real innovation is that you can stack them like Legos.
What?
Up to 12 modules
Really?
for a total output of 924 megawatts.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But how do they actually make money?
Right.
Do they just sell these reactor modules?
It's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Their revenue model is multifaceted.
Right.
They generate income by selling their technology and licensing, providing engineering services,
Okay.
and securing long-term maintenance contracts once those reactors are up and running.
So they're not just about replacing those old coal plants, right?
Wow.
I read something about them powering other things, too.
Absolutely. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Right.
NuScale is positioning their SMRs for a wide range of applications.
Uh-huh.
Imagine them powering desalination plants in regions struggling with water scarcity. Wow.
Or even providing clean energy to fuel hydrogen production.
That's a lot.
This diversification strategy is a key strength,
Right.
as it reduces their reliance on any single market.
That's smart. It sounds like they're thinking ahead. But
Right.
what about the team behind all this?
Sure.
Can they actually pull it off?
Well, the CEO, John Hopkins,
Yeah.
has been leading NuScale since 2012,
Okay.
and he's no stranger to the energy sector.
Right.
He's got over 30 years of experience in energy infrastructure,
Wow.
and he's proven himself capable of navigating challenging situations.
Like what?
Remember when their biggest investor ran into trouble with the SEC?
Oh, yeah.
Hopkins managed to secure a crucial investment from Power Corporation,
Okay.
keeping the company afloat.
So he's a bit of a crisis management expert then. That's reassuring.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the financials.
Right.
Nuclear energy is a long game,
Right.
and I'm guessing NuScale isn't exactly rolling in profits yet,
You're right. They're still pre-revenue.
which means they're not generating any income from sales yet.
Right.
They're heavily investing in research and development,
Okay.
which is essential for bringing their technology to market, but results in losses in the short term.
So how are they funding all this?
Right.
Did they go public recently?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They went public via a SPAC merger in 2022,
Okay.
which raised a significant amount of capital, around $380 million.
SPACs.
Yeah.
Those blank check companies that have been all the rage lately.
You're right.
But help me out here. How exactly does a SPAC merger work?
Sure.
And what does it mean for investors?
A SPAC, or a
Okay.
special purpose acquisition company,
Right.
is essentially a shell company
No.
that goes public with the sole purpose of merging with a private company like NuScale
Uh-huh.
and taking them public.
Okay.
It's a faster route to the stock market than a traditional IPO for
Okay.
investors.
Yeah.
It means you're essentially betting on the SPAC's ability to identify a promising target company.
Got it. So it's a bit of a gamble,
Yeah.
but it can also pay off big if the SPAC picks a winner.
Right. Right.
Now, back to NuScale's financials.
Okay.
You said they're pre-revenue,
Mm-hmm.
but what's their market cap looking like? And are they drowning in debt?
Their market cap currently sits at $2.51 billion.
Why?
That's a sizable valuation for a pre-revenue company,
Right.
reflecting the market's optimism about their future potential.
Okay.
And on the debt front,
Yeah.
they actually have zero debt.
Zero debt.
That's a positive sign,
Okay.
as it gives them more financial flexibility.
Right.
They do have decent cash reserves from the SPAC merger,
Okay.
which is crucial for funding their operations while they work towards generating revenue.
So no debt and a decent cash cushion.
Uh-huh.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
But I'm sure investors are eager to see some revenue flowing in soon.
Right.
What's the outlook there?
Well, their revenue did show some growth in the past,
Okay.
but recent quarters have seen a dip.
A dip.
This is partly due to the timing of projects and partnerships,
Right.
which can be lumpy in the energy sector.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that this is a long game.
Okay.
Building and deploying nuclear reactors is a complex and time-consuming process.
Sure.
Patience is key here, as it may take several years for NuScale to achieve consistent profitability.
All right.
That's where analyzing things like market sentiment and ownership structure come in. These can give us clues about how the market is perceiving NuScale's progress and potential.
All right. So what's the buzz on the street? Are investors feeling bullish or bearish on NuScale?
Well, there's definitely a lot of interest in the company, especially with the rise of AI and the increasing demand for clean energy to power those massive data centers.
Right.
NuScale is riding that wave,
Uh-huh.
and it's certainly contributed to some positive momentum in their stock price.
Right. AI needs juice.
Yeah.
And NuScale's clean energy could be the answer.
Yeah.
But haven't there been some wild swings in their stock price? Last time I checked, analyst price targets were all over the place.
That's true. The volatility in their stock price reflects the inherent uncertainty surrounding a pre-revenue company in a rapidly evolving market. Some analysts are incredibly bullish, setting price targets as high as $27 a share, while others are far more cautious. This discrepancy highlights the importance of doing your own due diligence and not solely relying on analysts' predictions.
So how do we cut through the noise and get a sense of what's really going on? What are some things savvy investors are looking at?
One interesting indicator is unusual options activity. There have been some large, bullish bets placed on NuScale in the options market, suggesting that some deep-pocketed investors see significant upside potential.
Oh, hold on. Let's break that down for a second. What exactly is unusual options activity, and why should we care?
Options are contracts that give investors the right, but not the obligation, to buy or sell a stock at a specific price within a certain time frame. Unusual options activity refers to trades that are significantly larger or more frequent than usual, often indicating that institutional investors or hedge funds are making big moves. Tracking this activity can provide valuable insights into market sentiment and potential price movements.
So these big players are essentially placing their bets on NuScale.
Yeah.
But who are these players? Are we talking about institutional investors like BlackRock and Vanguard?
You hit the nail on the head. Institutional investors like BlackRock and Vanguard hold significant stakes in NuScale. Their presence adds a level of credibility to the company. These firms have teams of analysts who scrutinize potential investments, so their involvement suggests they see value in NuScale's long-term prospects.
That makes sense. It's like a stamp of approval from the big leagues. But what about the folks on the inside, the company insiders? What are they doing with their shares?
Insider activity can be a valuable signal, but it's important to analyze it carefully. We've seen a mixed bag of insider transactions at NuScale, some selling and some exercising options.
Okay, time for another quick explainer. What's the significance of insiders selling versus exercising options?
When insiders sell shares, it can sometimes be interpreted as a lack of confidence in the company's future. However, there are often perfectly legitimate reasons for selling, such as personal financial needs or portfolio diversification. Exercising options, on the other hand, is generally seen as a bullish signal.
Okay.
An option gives an insider the right to buy shares at a predetermined price.
Right.
If they choose to exercise that option, it suggests they believe the stock is undervalued and likely to rise.
So it's not always a clear-cut signal. You have to look at the context and try to understand the motivation behind these moves.
Right.
Speaking of potentially concerning moves, didn't I read something about NuScale possibly needing to issue more stock?
Yes, CLSA, a brokerage firm, has raised the possibility that NuScale might need to raise additional capital through a secondary stock offering to cover their ongoing losses. This is something investors should definitely keep an eye on, as it could lead to dilution.
Wait, back up. What does dilution mean for me as an investor?
Dilution occurs when a company issues more shares of its stock.
Okay.
This increases the total number of outstanding shares,
Right.
which can decrease the value of existing shares. It's like slicing a pie into more pieces. Each slice becomes smaller. While dilution can be concerning, it's sometimes necessary for companies to raise capital to fund growth initiatives. The key is to assess whether the potential benefits of that growth outweigh the dilution risk.
Okay, so there's a lot to consider here. We've covered the business, the management, the financials, the market sentiment, and even the ownership structure. Let's try to put it all together with the classic SWOT analysis.
Right.
What are NuScale's main strengths?
Their strengths are considerable. They're the first mover in the U.S. SMR market, which gives them a competitive edge.
Right.
They have a strong brand and a compelling technology. They're also financially sound with zero debt and healthy cash reserves. These are all positive factors that could contribute to their long-term success.
That's a pretty solid foundation to build on. But no company is without its weaknesses. What are some of the hurdles NuScale needs to overcome?
The biggest challenge is that they're still pre-revenue. They haven't yet proven their ability to generate consistent profits from their technology. They're also heavily dependent on government funding and partnerships, which can be unpredictable and subject to changing political priorities. And as we've discussed, their earnings have been somewhat inconsistent, which makes it difficult to project their future financial performance.
So there's a fair amount of risk involved, especially for investors looking for short-term gains. But what about the long-term opportunities? Where could NuScale go from here?
The long-term opportunities are vast. The global push for decarbonization is creating a rapidly growing market for clean energy solutions. And SMRs are uniquely positioned to capitalize on this trend. They're smaller and more flexible than traditional nuclear plants, making them suitable for a wider range of applications and locations. NuScale is already targeting international markets, where demand for clean energy is particularly strong. They're also exploring applications beyond power generation, such as desalination and hydrogen production, which could open up entirely new revenue streams.
It sounds like they're strategically positioning themselves for a future where clean energy is king. But of course, there are always threats to consider. What are some of the headwinds that could derail NuScale's plans?
The regulatory landscape is a major factor. Nuclear energy is a highly regulated industry, and securing approvals for new reactor designs can be a lengthy and complex process. Public perception is another hurdle. Despite its safety record, nuclear energy still faces some public resistance. And NuScale will need to effectively address these concerns to gain widespread acceptance. And let's not forget about the competition. Several other companies are developing SMR technologies, and NuScale will need to stay ahead of the curve to maintain its competitive edge.
So it's a race against time and a battle against perception and red tape. And you mentioned safety concerns. Didn't I read that the NRC had some questions about NuScale's design choices?
Yes, you're right. NuScale made some specific design choices to keep costs down. But the NRC has raised some concerns about whether these choices might compromise safety. It's not unusual for regulators to scrutinize new reactor designs, and it's essential for NuScale to address these concerns thoroughly and transparently. This situation is definitely something investors should monitor closely.
Okay, so we've weighed the pros and cons and explored the opportunities and threats. Let's bring it all back to our original question. Is NuScale a good investment?
Ultimately, NuScale is a bet on the future of nuclear energy, specifically in the SMR niche. The potential rewards are enormous if they can successfully commercialize their technology and ride the wave of decarbonization. But as we've outlined, the risks are also substantial. It's a high-stakes game that requires patience, a tolerance for volatility, and a deep understanding of both the energy sector and the company's specific challenges and opportunities.
So it's not for the faint of heart or for those seeking quick profits. It's a long-term play with a lot of moving parts. But here's a thought to chew on. We've talked about AI's growing need for clean energy. What if NuScale becomes the go-to energy solution for those massive data centers popping up everywhere? Would that kind of market dominance justify the risks involved?
That's a fascinating question. If NuScale were to become the dominant player in powering AI infrastructure, it would significantly alter the company's trajectory and potentially justify a higher risk tolerance for investors. However, it's crucial to remember that this is a hypothetical scenario with many variables at play. It would depend on factors like NuScale's ability to scale its production, secure contracts with major data center operators, and navigate the evolving regulatory and geopolitical landscape. It's certainly an exciting possibility to consider, but it's essential to ground our investment decisions in a realistic assessment of both the potential and the risks.
Well, we've given you a solid starting point for your research. Now it's up to you to dig deeper. Explore those variables and decide if NuScale aligns with your investment goals and risk tolerance.
We always encourage our listeners to share their own insights and perspectives as well. The more we learn from each other, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the complexities of the market.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, if you're interested in diving even deeper into the world of AI and its impact on the markets, be sure to subscribe to the Stock Analytics AI YouTube channel. We break down complex topics in a way that's both informative and engaging.
We believe that informed decision-making is key to navigating the ever-evolving landscape of finance and technology, and we're here to equip you with the knowledge you need.
Just a friendly reminder, though. While we strive to provide thorough, research-based insights, we are not financial advisors. Your investment decisions are ultimately your responsibility. So do your homework, stay informed, and invest wisely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into NuScale Power.